Recording. Hello, YouTube. And now, are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. I'm not going to ask again.
What?
Are you ready?
Oh, God. No.
And we are live. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am the Sussman, Rick Sussman, joined, as always, by... What was that? The original angry... Oh, the original angry nerd girl herself, and the best cat mom ever, Elle Lestrange. Elle, happy Mother's Day to you and the cats that we've already had to shoo out of the studio 5 separate times, and now one is climbing on the computer and possibly ruining my audio-only track. So that's cool. Well, it is Free Comic Book Day weekend. It is a big weekend for comic books, but we would be certainly remiss and maybe even out of place if we didn't address the very big and very sad news of the weekend as well. What we all knew was eventually going to come to pass when his diagnosis was made public. Sadly, George Perez passed away Friday evening. According to the folks who were tweeting for him, he was amongst family, he was in no pain, and he left the world in the best possible circumstances, knowing he was very loved and very appreciated. While this was not shocking, nor was it surprising, it is still, for some of us, rather devastating. Excuse me just a moment.
What is he eating?
He's licking the inside of a coffee cup that had creamer in it at one point. Hi, everybody. This is Onyx. He's here to cause annoyance. Anyway.
Why, Father?
Why have you done this to me, Father? I have mentioned on more than one occasion how much of an influence George was to me, how an amazing human being he was, and that's always been the consistent story leading up to Friday night, which was when George received his diagnosis. Everyone, all they could ever say was, you know, not only is he an amazing artist, but he's an incredible person. And that never changed. Everyone kept sharing their amazing George stories, and you know, my story about how George and his wife were incredibly gracious to me, some random comic book store owner, that's just how they were. Yeah, I at first I thought I was someone special, but then I realized, no, they're the special ones. George was a living legend and will continue to be a legend through all time for his work in the comic book industry, but no one has anything negative to say about the man.
It's true. I haven't heard anything negative. It's absolutely impossible.
Right, and I think that more than anything will be his legacy, was, yes, this was an amazing artist, and yes, this was someone who would make time for the fans, and yes, this is someone who was just happy to have his name in print next to, you know, other luminaries, but he himself was just a wonderful human being. And that is really what makes me sad more than anything, is that the world lost a little bit of light. It is sad. Although, good news, Frank Miller's still alive, making his own company now. All right, Frank Miller.
His own company? For
yeah.
what?
Because...
Do you like another comic book
industry? Right. Because, shockingly, no one wants to print his stuff anymore. So he's like, well, screw it. I'll make my own comic book company with blackjack and hookers. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from Frank. I think it's called FMP, like Frank Miller Press. We'll see if they produce any comics. You know, we're big fans of indie books here, but he's trudging along. Other artists and industry luminaries who have... So, lots of bad things have been discovered about some of our favorite writers and artists.
But it's you gotta remember, we're not highlighting the comic book industry. There are trashy people everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
But this...
But it's been quite some time for us here in the comic book industry to notice like anything like that, or to see the reality of things. I think what it is here we all live in a fantasy world. Different kinds.
Oh, yes, and the next Doctor was announced. Thank you for the mentioning. Yes, that's a very good point. We did just see that right before we went on air. I can't see who tagged me in that, but thank you for reminding me. Yes, we have our newest Doctor as well. That's a good way to end that segment. Let's talk about the 14th Doctor.
I am so excited.
Very exciting. We've had a female Doctor, and now we have an actual person of color who is the Doctor, and whose name, I will not butcher it. I just know him as the wonderful Eric from... Sex Education. I'll be very blunt. He is, let's see, it was Jesse. Oh, thank you, Jesse. So, yes, Eric from Sex Education, who, if I'm very honest, kind of steals the show. Like, the first couple of episodes, you sort of realize that you're there to see him more than anything else. His whole trip...
as you're saying, I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no.
That episode where it was like focused on him,
and he was in that other country,
trying to like figure out about himself and how he feels. You know, he's got his boyfriend at home,
right?
And he's kind of stuck between
two worlds.
And, he's still trying to find out. He's young, you know. Yeah. He's still trying to figure out what it is that makes him happy, and who's going to make him happy, and he did such a great job during the whole series, really, but that you really got to see.
So I read that he was born in Rwanda and grew up in, I want to say, Scotland, or part of the UK regardless, which is sort of evident if you watch Sex Education. You hear an accent. Like, Americans, we hear the accent because our American accent is so different from the British accent. But I, for one, specifically, you can hear, it's almost like a tonal, like there's some sort of beautiful sing-songiness about the way he just naturally speaks, because he has two very distinct accents that he speaks with. And to me, I mean, honestly, I adore the sound of his voice. It is distinctly, British and UK, but there's also that little twinge of something else in there that I didn't understand. And you see this a lot in people.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, you're kind of leading into all this, but I don't know if you're about to make this connection, but how it's kind of like when you are watching a commercial and they can talk you into anything.
Yes.
And and you need somebody with a voice like that to play the Doctor.
Yes.
They talk you in
to anything. Yes.
Do you want to get in this box with me?
Don't you want to come flying around the universe in all space and time?
Oh. I'll get in the box with you, stranger.
Listen, I watched...
Small box.
I watched a terrible Terminator movie. I'm going to watch Morbius, even though I know it's awful. I'm going to watch this prequel to Game of Thrones. Yeah. And I've watched all of, what's her name? Queen Elizabeth II show, because Matt Smith is there. And I'm fairly certain that if Matt Smith needed to, he could talk me into giving up one of my lungs for him. He doesn't even need it. He's just going to throw it on the ground.
Yeah. And
for you, that would be Christian Eccleston, I assume.
What?
He can talk you into anything.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think it has a lot to do with who you started watching.
Yes, who your doctor is.
I think that's just, you don't have any say in it. That's probably going to be your doctor. Because if you get past watching that particular doctor, that's what got you stuck.
Yeah.
If you've watched long enough to where the doctor changes at any point, you're already sucked in.
We both started with Matt Smith. And then we went back and we watched the 9, 10, and 11.
But no, we didn't. We only watched like an episode or two, and then we went to the beginning. I
don't
think we watched that much.
Regardless.
If you watch like a whole season of one, that, at the very beginning, once you watch a full season, that's your doctor.
Okay.
I think that's the rule.
Okay. Well, we're excited that there's a new doctor. I've already seen some responses and creators on Instagram and Facebook, people themselves, people of color, who are just over the moon that they've been celebrating and watching Doctor Who for 40, 50, 60 years, and now they get to see some actual representation. And I understand how important that is, obviously. But we here at the Read Pile, it is Free Comic Book Day weekend. Mm-hmm. We also had our regular Read Piles. Mm-hmm. We have
you want to show the stacks? Mine's not bad. I took some Free Comic Book Day ones out.
Yes.
I was like,
yours isn't bad.
And then you sucked them up.
Yours isn't bad. Mine is horrendous.
Mine's not bad at all.
So,
mine's like a normal week. This is an average week.
But is it a week where you're actually going to give us reviews, or are you just going to verbatim read the entire plot back to us?
I don't know. Hey, I do it how I do it.
Please.
If somebody's still watching it, that's their fault.
Yeah.
And also, you could just be like, Lauren, I don't want to do this anymore. You're not doing it right.
No one's going to watch the show if it's just me. We've been over this. No one will watch the show if it's just me. In all of the universe, in all of space and time, every creator, every major name has been like, oh, I really appreciate when Elle reviews my books. This has been the case when Tom Taylor has said it, when Tom King responds to you. He doesn't respond to me. Of course, Gail Simone and you are like best friends.
We're not best friends. I would be her best friend. She would take me.
People watch the show to watch you.
Anyway, so move on.
It's so cute. Look how adorable you get when you get complimented.
I don't like being complimented. I don't like you.
All right, you ready to review your books?
Yes. All right. So.
No one's stopping.
Huh?
Nobody's stopping you. Go to it.
I didn't know if you were done.
What?
Sometimes it drags on for
Please forgive me. There was a temperature change, so my nose started exploding over the last 2 days. So
I tried.
We tried the nebulizer. Yeah, that was
fun. The cat has chewed on the line.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I'm gonna have to get a replacement. These cats.
Yes.
Destroy everything.
No, it's not these cats, Elle. There's two. There's just two.
Do you have them on film? Can you take it to the court? Nope, you can't.
All right, get to your read pile. You're going to have to zoom in because we got the light behind us now. So this is Jim Henson's The Storyteller. This is tale 3 of 4 of the Shapeshifters line. And this is from Amelia Salento.
Yeah. So it's another. It's that continues with the anthology.
Yeah, we figured out this was an anthology series,
but it
right?
has, the consistent storytelling this time around is Shapeshifters.
Right.
So we are now at 3 of 4. They're always short. These little sections. I can't even remember. I've already said this before. That I couldn't remember and didn't even bother looking it up again. But there is another title to the last one.
Yeah.
So this time around. I wasn't sure how I was going to like the Shapeshifter, but so far I've absolutely loved it. This one is basically about two young individuals that find each other at a river. They both go there to find peace, but end up finding love, essentially. But their story is very Romeo and Juliet kind of thing.
Does one shapeshift into a wolf?
No, not really. More like them. I'm thinking of a different comic. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So their love is, they feel like they have to hide it. That's what it was. I'm sorry. They just kind of kept meeting at the river and eventually just decided they want to get married. So they move on and you see their life continue with each other.
Right.
But everybody kind of is like, her family didn't come to the wedding. They never meet anybody whatsoever. So it's kind of weird.
Right.
But then we discover what the secret is about her.
That she changes into a nine-tailed fox?
Pretty much, yeah. It's right there on the cover.
I gathered.
But you can see that she changes into other things also.
Oh.
So, and she's so scared, she just takes off. And she leaves, and she just watches her husband and her daughter just grow from afar. But she's never left them, and it's so beautiful how she changes to be there with them. I don't know if you'll see. Oh, yeah, that's when they discovered her. But she appears in ways like this, like where she becomes a tree for them to sit under. And
then she changes into a protector.
Like, it's very beautiful. Yeah. It's very touching. But it really does tell you, about how a lot of people are afraid to show their true selves because they don't know how somebody is going to, how they're just going to be portrayed.
Right.
They don't know how, are they going to be accepted or not? And in this story, sadly, for most of her life, she kept herself away from those she loved because she didn't think she would be accepted. All she had to do is ask, but she couldn't even get there.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, it's not a horrific ending. Please read. You will cry though.
Oh.
Yeah, it's hard not to because it's just like any typical love story you ever read. How two people that should be together aren't together for some stupid ass reason. Yeah, and
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. What you got next?
So.
It's Dogs of London.
Uh-huh.
I've been waiting 2 days to say that.
Oh wow. So
this is Peter Milligan, by the way, who I read a lot of Peter Milligan books.
Yeah.
This looks like
Aftershock.
It's Aftershock. This looks like it would be right up your alley, in that it appears to be very horror centric.
Yes, there is a werewolf.
A dog man.
A dog man.
Dog man.
Something
covered in blood.
To me, I'm thinking werewolf probably because this is London. Damn it. But.
Ow.
But covered in blood. I'll take it.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Yes.
But I don't want to continue it.
Oh no! So,
but it's not that. It's just not. It's one of those that's just not for me. It had nothing to do with the writing. I knew mostly through it. No mention of a werewolf or any actual dog person or whatever.
Yeah.
And I became very frustrated about it. But I was not disappointed in what I read.
It's just not what you expected.
And I continued to finish it.
Yeah, but it's not what you expected. It's not what you were hoping for.
It wasn't what I was expecting, and I think that's what ruined it for me.
No, I totally understand because
but it kind of is left. And look at the very end.
All right. Well, I saw the cover of issue 2 as well.
I'm not going to show it because somebody might still need to read this. But
I understand.
I will say that it is open to interpretation.
Yeah, I know.
But at the same time, it could be, what I mean?
I'm with you. I'm with you 100. No, I'm with you 100% because I was really excited about this book for the exact same reason. And of course, I love Peter Milligan. I've read a ton of his stuff.
And the artwork.
The artwork's very and it's Aftershock, and they have the cool. And so I went ahead and I read this while you were finishing up your read pile this morning, and I was a little disappointed too. Now there are lots of hints that maybe we are going in that direction, but to your point, I'm right there with you.
And as far as how the story goes, this is the one I was thinking of in my head. So I apologize getting that little.
Your head canon.
Okay, my hand. Yeah. So this is the one where it has that Romeo and Juliet kind of thing going on between the two mob families, the two younger individuals fall in love. It's Frank Babs with 2 B's at the end. I guess this is Babs.
Sure.
And then Audrey Quinn, and their families are rivals. So you get that whole storyline. They even kind of nod at it. Yeah, we know. this is the point we're doing this. And so you have that all going, but at the same time, you're learning a lot about this main character.
Yeah.
That is the narrator.
Yeah.
For this whole thing. But we get to find a lot more about him, and I think the whole goal of this story is to find out what is going on in the very first page, where they're digging somebody's grave, and it's not just I killed another guy.
Yeah.
They're got the fear of God in them. So who is it? And it's still a really great story.
I agree, and it's not what you were looking for.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
So
I get it.
I might change my mind by the time issue 2 comes around. I'm not going to take off the sub because I know a lot of other people are buying it, so I'm not going to be I won't. Let me jerk, but
let me sell it to you. You ready? You ready to be sold?
I know you'll be able to because I'm right on the edge.
Listen, I'm ready to sell it to you. You ready to be sold?
Okay.
It's a 4-issue miniseries.
Okay. I'll do it.
Because you're going to get issue 2. You're already halfway there.
I am.
And by the time...
This isn't really ruining it. I will tell you this, because the cover issue 2, that's the thing, is it's for these guys.
Yeah, but
now. So it's like,
I don't think it's gonna ever get supernatural. No, I don't think it's ever gonna get supernatural.
Because in the story,
yes,
we did overgloss this. They are referred to as the
dogs. Yeah.
So
it's a British gang. It's British gang wars. It's going to be a lot closer to Peaky Blinders than it would be to Werewolves of London or American Werewolf in London. Pardon me, that was the movie I was going for there. But I totally empathize. I totally understand why you would pick this up and be like, "Oh my God, it's going to be gory and deathy, and there's going to be and where the Wolf Boys?" But a 4-issue miniseries, I can get on board. I can get on board almost every.
Like I know the answers. It's not going to be dragged out to find out who it is that's in the grave or that's going to be in the grave, and
it's really
he falls in love with one particular girl, and then
it's really hard to say no to a 4-issue miniseries.
The timeline jumps. And stuff.
You do love your timeline.
I do like that too. That the idea of kind of jumping around and learning about different parts of his life. You learn about his childhood and what probably got him into this job in the first place. Will he get revenge against his dad, or for the horrible things he's done?
Does money get him into the? Anyway, continue with your read pile. What do you got next?
So,
this is Quest Aside. Quests Aside. Quests Aside. This is from Vault Comics. Has a very awesome fake wood cover. It's Always Sunny in the Realms.
Yeah. So,
is this It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but set in the middle ages with magic?
Kinda. So what happens is it is a bar.
Step one, check.
it is run by a guy named Barrow, who is an ex-adventure man. So he has this bar, and they actually it looks like they do help people get along with it onto their quests and stuff. They help them out.
So they're the side quest. The bar is the side.
It refers to them, yes. It's a side quest. So
that's splendid. That's splendid.
I know. It gets better. But it turns out that the king decided he wants to have his bar for barracks. So he's like,
my boys are gonna come sleep
you
in your
don't
bar.
have a choice.
Yeah.
I'm the fucking king. I'm going to take what I want. But then Barrow's like, I know some shit you did.
Yeah.
And so he's like thinking about it. He's like, he's doing this to me, and he refers to secrets that he knows about this guy. So there's so much deeper of a story to go with all of that.
Right.
But at the same time, you get these hilarious little introductions to the people or individuals that
frequent the bar.
Yeah, no, that actually work there.
Oh, okay.
So these are the staff members, so it makes it even funnier. So
okay, wait.
Check.
wait. One of the main characters is a guy who's literally a rat boy.
Yes.
This is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, only set in a bar. Set in a video game or.
I'm trying to make the points for you. Yes.
That is very obvious.
And it's great. The characters we have, she's an ex-princess. Then we have.
How are you an ex-princess?
I'm sure we'll get that story. We're going to talk about it in this issue. I will say that. So.
Do they refer to her as a big stupid bird by any
chance? or mage, whatever you want to say, and then an actual skeleton. You get a lot of crazy stuff in here, but I love the idea of all these little jokes.
Yes.
That are in here. It's great. It really is. You do get a little bit of a weak ending in this first issue, I feel. Here, let me see.
Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, wait, there. I mean, it is and it isn't.
Okay.
Because you see how he's got his own secret. And I'll just go ahead and say it.
So they're blackmailing each other.
No, this isn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to spoil. Anyway,
I understand.
The ending, maybe I'm just overdoing it. It's not really weak. But it was kind of an ending that I was kind of getting at one point, because he was already talking to somebody that wasn't in the room. So, okay, I'll leave it at that.
All right.
I'm definitely going to read a Chi-Chi.
Not your pick of the week.
Not the pick of the week. Not the pick of the week.
It was up there though, I assume.
Yeah, it was. I mean, all my books were really good this week.
Fair enough.
I mean,
so this is your free comic book day book.
This is the free comic book day.
Free comic book day book. Yes. This is Max Meow, Cat on the Street, Comic Spectacular. Now, Max Meow has been around for some time, but you just found out about Max.
I did, and I like reading kids' ones sometimes.
It's nice. It's a palate cleanser.
It's cute, especially if it's like Being Puppy Cat or anything with a cat, actual cat, and then it's just. I don't know. It's very lighthearted. It's not like I read the entire series, but when it comes to Free Comic Book Day, I'm cool with it. It's always nice to have one of these on your stack, too. Yeah, and I will say this. If you like puns and you have kids, this is perfect. Especially... It's perfect. Did you do that intentionally? It just came out. Now this is natural. I do it at work all the time. That's why. Oh my God! You can learn to draw your own Max. That's cute. Yes. Okay, so basically, here are some great things. I'm not. There's no point in getting into the story. Right. It's just a fun. But I will tell you, it is lighthearted enough. If you wanted to read it to your kid, before bedtime, you could. And I would think that you would feel pretty safe with them just reading it on their own if they're capable of reading at this point. I don't know the actual ages. I don't have kids. I don't keep track of that kind of stuff. But I think it's worth checking out, especially if you can get at least this issue at your comic shop. They may still have it, even though Free Comic Book Day is usually on a Saturday. Yeah. Or this Saturday, sometimes depending on their shipment, maybe next Saturday. But there is a whole world, like you were saying, of this series. But here is some of the great things that I can call out to you that will at least get your attention. Getting your superpowers from a space meatball. Yes. So you got that. Superheroes are pretty much animals. Okay. You have a cat. You see it right there on the cover. Or it's a person dressed as a cat. I see. You have a place called Kittyopolis. Yes, Kittyopolis, of course. Yes. There is an individual that goes by the name of Chef Rammy. Could you think of maybe what animal that is? Chef Rammy. I'm gonna say a mouse. Oh, how did you know? Well, I've seen the movie. And then there's another character that I just absolutely love. It is Great Auntie Arctica. Is she a penguin? She is. Of course. So, very cute, adorable. I think it's at least looking into, not necessarily if you're older, but if you have kids, actually I know hurt a lot of people my age have kids, so. Well, before then, we do very much. We have both of us have read children's young adult books, and we've loved them. I don't know if I could read a whole. No. They're like I said, they're palate cleansers. Being Puppy Cat was fun. It was a short series. Yeah, Help Us Great Warrior. That's another one. Of course, we both adored Rainbow Bridge, which is technically a children's book or a young adult book. Mm-hmm. So. Good, I've always said this, and when I was running my own comic book store, me and my buddies who were in the store together, we would always say the same thing. Good stories sell. It doesn't matter what they're about or who's, if it's a good book, you don't really need to market it. It's going to sell. Now, El Lestrange. It is time for the single most obvious pick of the week in the history of our entire show. Are we even sure it debuted this week? No, it did. Okay. Because they have not skipped a week. All right. On this timeline. Okay. Ready. This is Nubia. This is the Coronation Special. This, of course, feeding directly after the
Trial of the Amazons. There was an ad for this issue in last issue's Trial of the Amazons, which amazingly also was Elle's pick of the week.
All right.
There's a tab. You made a tab.
I did. Now, I'm going to get through this, and you're not going to interrupt me. I have a lot to say.
I will busy myself with my crowbar.
Please don't do that, because now you're just distracting me. So, to start off, in Nubia, Real One, spoiler, but it's been out for a while. I finally read it, yes, I know, but it didn't last 24 hours because it was that great. I had to sleep in between. So, in that trade, we learn the origin of Nubia, her character, and how she, like, basically where she comes from, and we find out that she's actually a twin sister of Wonder Woman. It's an amazing story, an amazing concept. I love the idea of it, and totally open to accepting it. But here in this particular series, it's been mentioned even before in Wonder Girl with Nubia. We learn of her, we talk about her origin, but we find out more of the details of it. We find out who she was and what she was in her past life, and how she died, and by what man's hands. And then how she, and we already knew that she came through the well.
This is because of the well.
Souls.
Gotcha.
So we get to see where she has risen from.
I understand.
Souls at that point. So we're getting a little bit more of that background story of her, and how she came to be on the Mascara, becoming an Amazon. So, it was pretty cool just alone there to see. But in this issue, we get to see who she was, like I said, how she died. We see how she becomes the Amazon. Nubia finds a friend in Man's World. And I will just give you a little hint as to... I'll read a little bit of this for you, and you tell me, okay? He said that my chosen form, and even a woman...
John Jones?
Yeah, there we go. That's all I had to do. I didn't even have to read the whole bubble. But I just thought it was great because it was that connection between her and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I
John
know
Jones.
her. He's like, I know who Diana is. You don't gotta explain yourself to me. I know that.
Hi,
I know
I'm a Martian. How are you?
Hi. But what's really sad is during this whole time that they're talking to each other, they're talking about racism, and it's very heavy. I'm so glad that they brought it up though, and to talk about it, and it was. You're
gonna have to lean into it when the cover of the when you're.
But what's really sad is that he's explaining to her that she's gonna have to work harder than Wonder Woman.
Right, which is that is quite the accurate statement now, isn't it? That you're going to have to even be more. You're going to have to be more wonderful than Wonder Woman because
he's telling her, he's like, she showed up, and there's a lot of people that already don't like her just because she's a woman.
Right.
He's like, you're a woman, but
and
now you have so much more against you too, and you're new, and so it's very heavy.
Fair enough.
And you're getting all these kind of like these different timelines, kind of like in some of the other stuff that I've read this week. But you get her past, like I said, you get the present at the coronation, and then you also kind of get that in between where she has already become an Amazon. She's in Man's World, there to help, just like Wonder Woman is, and she's realizing how messed up Man's World is. Yeah, and it's just...
I hear it's a man's world, and there's nothing a woman can do.
I'm just... That's how they refer to it.
I know.
That's how... Because to them, anything outside of the Mascara is Man's World, essentially.
Can I ask you, what made this your pick of the week?
I think what it was is it was because it was so heavy, and you got so much without without that feeling of being overloaded.
Gotcha.
I got a little worried when I got to the end though, and I saw like continued, because I accidentally my last page got stuck, and then I saw the thing at the bottom, but I didn't read it all. And I went back. So by the end of that the second to last page, I was like, this isn't a one shot. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And
this particular issue is a one shot. Yeah,
it is. So technically, this is the a continuation of the trial of the Amazons, right. But it's not part of that main story. This is what they refer to as, and they put it on here, the aftermath.
So this is the epilogue.
So this is kind of exactly a little wrap up. But now they're telling you that in the end, which I'm sure everybody already knows. I'm just freaking late to the game all the time. I'm going to show you these. This will be my last part. Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, #1. I don't know when it comes out, though. I usually look 2 weeks ahead on my comic book list, and I didn't see it, so...
They might have kept the solicitations back, knowing that it's going to be Nubia issue 1, and they wouldn't have to worry about, pushing it, because it's not going to take a lot to sell that book.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, since this was released on Wednesday, this is Sunday, it's already on the internet anyway,
right.
So...
So you want to show me the pinups?
So the pinups are really beautiful. I am going to show you this because even with you seeing this without buying it, you're going to want it because you're going to want to have it. We do get the artwork. The biggest part. This is really why I like this. Each storyline, the time that they go to, is a different artist.
Oh, that's cool.
Or maybe it's not. I mean, I know there's multiple artists.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of them repeat any of the timelines or whatever, but it's drawn differently, at least, for each one. And that blew my mind when I finally caught on to that. But that is where I believe we're getting these beautiful pinups. Yeah. Oh, here. And then I'll turn the page. So, I will say this. I do not have a favorite. Yep, that's it. Because I love all of them. I think if there was a statue of all of these, I would take all of them.
Please, no.
As long as you're not paying separate for the lion. So that's me.
All right.
I'm good. I'm going to save this over here.
Thank you, Elle Lestrange. Now, I will start off by saying that my read pile is substantial. I am going to start with my free comic book day books and go into my actual pile therein. So let's get to it. Starting, of course, with Bunny Mask Tales.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, stop eating the plastic.
Stop it.
It's tape. I like tape. I like to eat the tape.
Oh, what's really messed up is we had a cat that used to lick pictures. You remember?
I do.
Remember that?
I do. Yeah, Onyx likes to eat tape. He likes the glue. He's the kid who wants to eat the glue. You like paste?
I do.
Anyway, Bunny Mask Tales. So this is really cool because this is I think it's 2 tales. It might be 3. Hang on. It's technically 2, and then there's a preview of the Hollow Inside, which is the next volume of Bunny Mask. But it's 2 brand new Bunny Mask stories that are, one is drawn by Andrea, who we love, and they are both, I believe, written by Paul Tobin. But this is great. If you're a Bunny Mask fan, this is a must-get. This was absolutely the #1 thing I had to get on my read pile this week from Free Comic Book Day. I had to have this because it continues the story.
Oh, man, yeah.
Without this,
I saw that like a month ago.
Yeah, it would be, it would have been incomplete. Also, big ups to my comic book store for not putting their name on this particular issue because they filed it in my box. And that's something I always appreciate, is I don't want a ruined copy of this. Now, I will say this, most Free Comic Book Day books, in fact, we'll go with 99% of them, aren't worth anything because they're free. Mm-hmm. However, in the 1 in a million chance that a book becomes important and a major character debuts in a Free Comic Book Day book, you want to get one that's not, doesn't have any, writing on it. So my first appearance of Umbrella Academy was a Free Comic Book Day book that I just randomly picked up, for instance, and it doesn't have the logo on it. So I was really happy about that. As far as the story is concerned, there is sickness. There's lots of sickness. But more importantly, it's Paul Tobin, and he does cat stuff. So the very beginning of this, the more proper-looking version is Bunny Mask shows up, and she talks to Taylor, and she's explaining to him about how cats will bring mice or birds to their owners as a show of affection.
Yeah.
But she's explaining it's not just a show of affection. It's also some people believe that cats think that we're bad hunters, so they have to hunt for us. So that's what she's explaining to him. And so she brings him a whole mess of dead bodies. She's like, you're going to have to learn how to be a better hunter, sweetie. So I guess... Onyx!
He knows when he's being bad because Rick will say his name and he does this thing. He goes, "Arr." No, it's not even a meow. It's just like,
Anyway, I really, really, really dug Bunny Mass Tales. As not hard to believe, but again, not terribly difficult. Now, continuing with our friend Andrea Muti, he also did Nottingham. This is from Bad Cave Comics. He was the artist here. And this was something that we just picked up because, well, you liked the cover. You didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
You picked it up off the table and you said, hey, wouldn't this be neat? And I said, sure, and I love Andrea's art, so I'll read it. I don't care. I'm a big fan. There's also a preview back here in an upcoming book called A Legacy of Violence.
Oh, man, I want that.
Which looks like something I'm going to want to pick up anyway. This was a one-shot story. I don't know if it was ever printed before, but it is a self-contained story, which I think is awesome. When comic book companies do self-contained stories inside of free comic book day books, it really makes it worth your time. But apparently Nottingham has existed for a long time. There are a couple of volumes of it, or at least one volume of it, Death and Taxes. So I'm guessing like this was part of that.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
I
think that's a good idea when it's a story that's been going on for a while, even if it wasn't an outside story, kind of like how Bunny Mask was for you.
Right.
It like an additional hey, surprise for you, and it's free. But it still could get you caught in a series. Like, let's say you read this, and they made sure, they said, you know what, we really want to make sure that we talk to those that haven't started reading the series yet. So we're going to give them a full story.
Well, putting Andrea's art out there is, of course, going to get my attention.
I'm
obvious. he's up there. Like we've got our good friend, of course, Darren. Derek Robertson. Pardon me. He's one of the pillar artists. Yeah. Andrea's getting really close to being a pillar artist too, because we, for better or for worse, collect like everything that he's in, that he draws rather.
Yeah.
It's getting up there. I'm just saying, it's getting up there. Now, to your point, this book damn near got me to buy an entire series of books.
It's okay.
Very close. So this is Black Caravan issue 0, The Electric Black, from Scout Comics. Scout Comics does Black Caravan. I really liked this, and then I was really annoyed by it. I'll explain. This is a very cool sort of good versus evil, wizards and warlocks, or demons and angels and God, and it's a very sort of Sons of Anarchy style version of it, where it's very nitty, very gritty, but there's still lots of mayhem and magic. And then there's a rebirth of the mother of all demons, Lilith, which is nice. Here's the problem.
Okay.
There are already 2 volumes of this series. The Electric Black Volume 1 and The Electric Black Volume 2. The Electric Black itself is a bar that sort of appears out of nowhere. And then White Lodge is the yang to the yin of Electric Black. So you've got the underworld, the Electric Black, which is, you know how like when John Constantine can call the House of Mystery and it just sort of shows up? Mm-hmm. That's the Electric Black.
Okay.
And then you've got God and his angels that all hang out at the White Lodge. So you've got the light versus the dark, upstairs. I wanted this to be the very first issue of a new ongoing series so I could collect it.
Sure, but very rarely does it happen.
I know.
It's usually going to be either a chunk out of something that's already been printed.
Yes.
So a chunk out of a already existing story, trade, or something. Or it could even be just a reprint of a whole issue that already exists, not necessarily just like...
You're absolutely right.
Like a few pages.
You're absolutely right, but I was still disappointed.
Specials.
I was disappointed because I remember when Free Comic Book Day Books was just previews of upcoming stories.
Oh, they had like an upcoming one.
Right. Now, I don't necessarily say that that's better. I'm not saying either direction is better. I could, in many ways, this might even be better, because now that I know I really like this, and I like the art, and I like the story, I can just go buy the 2 volumes of it and call it a day. Also, The Children of Cain could be the title of this particular volume. Maybe I could go to the comic store and be like, hey, I want the Electric Black, The Children of Cain, issue 1. Make sure that's on my read pile. And then like you did with Faithless, and like you did with, what was that other Cullen Bunn book? With the witches, with the fire magic. You just got it.
I did.
Black Banner.
Black Banner, yes,
yeah.
yes.
I'm
like...
So there's no reason why I can't, but the nerd brain in me looked at this like, this was so good. Wait a minute, there's already 2 volumes. I don't want it anymore. I can't explain why I do that. I'm not going to tell you that I'm right. I'm going to admit that in this circumstance, I'm probably wrong. However, I did like this very much. Are you ready? Are you ready for my actual...
Now we're doing a read
This
pile.
is the actual read pile.
Wait, can you show me how much is in the actual read pile? Now that we've gone through all those free comic books.
There's 7 books.
There's 7 more.
There's 7 books.
I see.
We'll start with the easiest one to review, and that is Twig. There you go. That is Twig, issue 1. This is from Image Comics by Scotty Young and Kyle Strahm. This is gorgeous, and it is a fun story that is also dark and evil. So, quintessential Scotty Young right here.
Really? And you told me a bit of good news.
I did.
That I did not even know about.
Yes,
It's probably all over the internet, and I just didn't even see it yet. And it's fall.
Yeah.
So, that's obviously a birthday present for me.
So, Scotty Young clearly bringing back I Hate Fairyland just in time for your birthday.
You know what? When I review,
you're gonna finally do your Gertrude
I'm
cosplay.
Gonna do my Gertrude.
You're gonna finally do the Gertrude cosplay.
I'm gonna do it.
Oh, we can hope. Anyway, Twig is very, very, very much in line with lots of Scotty Young flavored books. It's about this young man named Twig who wakes up. He's already late. He's got a weird looking, we'll say, slug friend who's known as Splat. He's got a job to do. He's got to get up early. He's got to go find a giant living mountain by the name of Mount Goofin. And Mount Goofin, inside of Mount Goofin, they are mining out parts of him. It's a very symbiotic relationship. What?
His mouth looks so natural.
It looks like part of a mountain. Yeah.
In the stone.
So he goes inside Mount Goofin, and he travels to the belly of Mount Goofin. Okay. And inside the belly of Mount Goofin, he meets a bunch of miners that they're excavating things that they find inside Mount Goofin.
As I would, yeah.
And they found this very shiny MacGuffin object. They give it to Twig, and he's like, yeah, this is my dad's job. I wanted to be a cook, but my dad suddenly died. They don't mention why he died. They just mention that he did. Okay. So he's the only other person in town who could do what his dad did, and his dad apparently was like a tracker. So he's got to go find the cartographer. The cartographer is going to tell him what to do with this weird gem. He's just got to go find him. Now, there is a really amazing sequence that happens in between where we actually get an opportunity to listen to Twig explain why he loves cooking. And Splat asks him just straightforward, why do you enjoy cooking so much? And Twig says, it's hard to say. I think I like that it's something I can do by myself. Each recipe is a mysterious puzzle that needs to be solved. Too much spice or too little, and the pieces won't fit together. Too much or too little heat, it's burnt up or undercooked. It's exact, yet each time can be different and still work. It makes sense and it doesn't, which makes sense to me, if that makes sense. I will tell you this. On any other given week, this is easily my pick of the week.
Yeah.
It is unquestionably one of the better books out there right now. I said it about Little Monsters, I'm going to say it about Twig. Go fucking buy a copy. I'll wait.
I mean, it's pretty impossible to not like something from Scotty.
Scotty Young's great. His art is amazing and his writing is incredible. We love our artists, we love our writers. Every now and again we get really lucky and there's a creator-owned book where it's both, like Jacques is doing Batman One Dark Knight, which has been incredible, and Maria Lovett's self-published book, not self-published, I'm sorry, creator-owned books. Now we've got a Scotty Young who is now mostly just involved in writing. We haven't seen his art in some time, right? This is incredible.
Yeah.
This is really good. It's and I'm going to just show Elle the last page here just to watch her freak out. So remember, they're on the trail of this one guy, and he won't answer the door. And there's a reason why he won't answer the door. And just look at the art of what's happening in here. Look at all the art going on. Twig. It is the first book I reviewed for a reason. It's not my pick of the week, but that's because my pick of the week is unfair. But that's okay. We'll get there when we get there. Moving on. The final issue of Human Remains. Thank you.
Thank you that it's the last issue?
No, thank you for the story. Thank you. So as we expected, as we suspected in the first couple of issues of Human Remains, this was Peter Milligan looking around at the world of COVID and writing a story in response to people's reactions. This is the last issue. This is the final part of the story where we address the fact that humanity will never be the same again because these giant crazy monsters show up and rip everybody apart. A priest decides to have a big open air prayer session like he's been building to, and secretly he's been in love with these creatures because every time they show up and murder somebody, he gets to reinstill everyone's faith, and they come to his church and they give him money. And
but you're still alive.
You're still alive because God,
we did it.
So what happens is, and at some point I will admit it does get a little heavy-handed, but I'm okay with it. So at this open air festival, everyone's enjoying themselves. And it's America. So one of the vendors is trying to sell donuts. And a guy, I won't say who or what he is, but he's wearing a American flag shirt that says, "These colors reload." He's got a red cap on. We don't see the front of the red cap, but he gets into an argument with the donut vendor, and he says, "A donut ain't a donut without a hole." And the vendor says, "Look, it's all the same ingredients, brother. Now move along. There's a line behind you." He goes, "A donut has a hole!" There are many types of donuts, of holeless donuts. A Berliner, for example. And then now the guy's wife comes up to him and says, "Jeb, are you going to let him talk to you like that?" And he pulls out a gun and shoots the guy, and he says, "Goddamn intellectuals." That is very heavy-handed. But, mwah! Oh, it's delicious.
I see something happen, though.
Yeah, well, he pulls out and shoots the guy, and this creates a panic. And in the panic, the monsters show up and kill everybody. It's almost like they shouldn't have been gathered in an open-air event when there's this raging monster amongst all of us. But what happens? Our hero, she takes her medicine, which are the mushrooms that she discovered, is able to put these crazy monsters at bay. She takes them, she walks out into the field where all the people are dying, and because she's, let's say, inoculated against these monsters, she doesn't die. She actually is able to hold them, and she sends them away. And she lives. And now everyone realizes, oh my God, all I gotta do is eat these mushrooms, and I'll be inoculated. And then I won't die. But, as is always the case, some people don't take the mushrooms, or some people don't take the medicine, and then there's a drive, no fungus here, no drug fiend bill, moms against fungus. If you're angry, if you're frustrated, if you're mad about the pandemic and how it was handled in this country, or maybe any country for that matter, outside of New Zealand, pick up Human Remains, get the catharsis that you want. This book made me feel like I could finally move forward in the next phase of this stupid pandemic. It's not over. Don't think it is. We've both been boosted. We gotta wait for our 4th shots to come up. But we'll get a 4th shot, we'll get a 5th shot, we'll get a 10th shot if we have to, because I don't fucking die. But man, Human Remains, thank you. Thank you for getting all of that out. It made me feel good. And now for something completely different. Mm-hmm. Task Force Z! Task Force Z is the most fun I've had reading a comic. Hang on. Yeah. The most fun reading a comic about a crowbar-wielding hero in some time. I love Task Force Z because it is the darkest humor available. If you don't know what Task Force Z is, it is a group of dead heroes and villains being led by Jason Todd because they've been resurrected using a serum created from Resurrection Man's body. And so a lot of dead heroes and villains are now being brought back to life as zombies, very literally, hence the Z in Task Force Z. But it's also an incredibly dark comedy. Dr. Bloom is one of the main characters, and he is trying to figure out how to better resurrect people, so he resurrects Man-Bat as a baby.
That's weird.
Yes! And
how otherwise do they they do it?
Well, they just resurrect them straight up. So he's trying to perfect another process.
Oh,
so he's like,
is his body too far gone? Or
right,
something?
exactly. So he's rebuilding him a new body.
So they ran out of the recently dead.
Right.
So now.
So and now Jason Todd gets to kill people without repercussions because he's just going to resurrect them, or so he believes. So he kills Zsasz. And hey, if you're going to murder somebody, murder the rapist. I'm down with that. Right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Dr. Freeze finds out about the resin, and then he finds out that if you take enough of the resin, you could just resurrect yourself and be alive again. So Dr. Freeze is like, aces. And he just takes all the resin and leaves.
Why wouldn't I?
There's so much...
I'd be stupid not to.
There's so much of that level of humor in this book. Like, well, why the fuck wouldn't I just take all the resin then? See the freeze gun?
I'm Mr. Freeze. I do what I want.
At one point, his body is literally falling apart because he's been resurrected too many times. So they're getting ready to go to battle, and his arm just literally falls off.
That's sad.
It's great.
Kind of embarrassing, too. You're like, I'm going to need a minute.
Does someone have a staple gun? Bane goes and visits Solomon Grundy, and Grundy's like, Grundy won't be alone. And Bane's like, listen, buddy, I'm a zombie. You're a zombie. We could be friends. And Grundy's like, friend?
You're gonna be zombie friends?
That's tell me that doesn't sound like a great book.
Like instead of super friends, it's
zombie friends.
Oh man, that'd be great. They could do like one of those reality shows where they're all in a house together. And
that's basically what Task Force Z is.
Oh, that'd be so good.
It's like all these zombies have to live together in this facility.
Like real world style.
Yeah, that's what it is. Arkham Knight, she occasionally gets resurrected, and like she isn't so great with the brain no more because she's been resurrected too many times.
Just sludge now.
Pretty much. So it's
there used to be some gelatin in there. Now
it's all pudding. It's all just complete pudding. It's not just pudding.
It's pudding with almond milk.
I was gonna say it's that's good, but it's pudding that's been left out in room temperature. So it's just you try and pick it up with your spoon, but it just dribbles. Like
you might get some chunks if
exactly.
You mix it
you
right.
gotta stir it back up and maybe there's
It's like you have a dumpling in there.
All right, moving on. With someone else who was recently resurrected, and whom I love, and the 90s is back. Ben Reilly Spider-Man, issue 4, what I'm assuming is of 5, because the Humanity Agenda, this is part 4 of 5. I mentioned this in part 3. I'm really loving this. I have no earthly idea how long this book can conceivably go, however.
But it says 4 or 5, or is it just the story
That's the story arc.
Okay.
I don't really know what the plan is for Ben Reilly after this. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Ben Reilly. He has the best Spider-Man suit of all time. I will happily die on that hill. We get a full confrontation between him and Spider-Side, where Spider-Side basically tells him, you're my family, you're my brother, I can mutate my body into many different forms, I can be anything you want me to be, I can be Mary Jane, I can be whoever you want, because I can make your life perfect. And Ben's like, he doesn't fight his brother. His brother isn't, Spider-Side's another clone.
Yeah, I remember that from the last one.
He actually goes really, really, really psychological. And he's like, listen, man, you're not just doing, why are you doing this? Why are you a villain? What is the reason of your villainy? You're trying to, make my life miserable too? I love that. I love that J.M. DeMatteis is actually taking characters and, instead of just being, I'm villainous. It's good pro wrestling. The best villains don't think they're being villainous, right?
Exactly. They are doing what they believe is the right thing.
So Ben Reilly asks his brother Spider-Side, why are you doing this? What is your motivation? Why are you so evil? And it's one of those things where he explains that it has nothing to do with you. I'm just trying to prove a point or some bullshit. And Ben calls him out on it. I love that about this character, and I want more of that. If you can give me more of Ben Reilly without going all the way back to Doctor Who, right? Uh-huh. Some of the coolest shit about Doctor Who is that he's never lifted a gun. He doesn't get into firefights with people. He talks them down, right? He uses his mind to get out of bad situations. And that's what Ben Reilly Spider-Man in this version of him is doing. And I love it. I just question how long the story can continue.
I think, here's the thing. So they are clearly telling you the story arc ends and then the next issue.
And the next issue is going to be the big...
What it's really going to tell you is the end of that one, if you want to continue or not. Because is it going to hook you enough to get you to read the next one? And then are you more of a person like that hook needs to happen before the last page?
I don't know. That's a good point.
Because it's one thing to have like, oh, something really big happen on the very last page that you turn to.
You're referring to your hatred of Outcast again.
This overlapping, ongoing story that's already building within the last issue for the next story arc.
So in the last issue,
I feel like there's a difference between that, and it depends on what you're willing to go with.
In the last issue, we're going to have Ben Reilly versus basically every villain that's been locked up because Spider-Side unleashes them.
So they show you there.
Yeah, and then you can see the cover of issue 5, which looks great. There is something I'm going to expound upon here. There's an ad at the end here for New Fantastic Four #1. I'm going to try and show you guys this without ruining the comic forever. But if you guys remember, the New Fantastic Four was a mid-'90s insanity thing that happened where Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Hulk all became the Fantastic Four for a bit. Well, it's back. And the cover that they're doing here is an homage to those 90s comics. It even says the world's most extreme comics magazine, which was all part of Marvel in the 90s. Ben Reilly is part of Marvel 90s with the Clone Saga. I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of a secret. I turned 40 recently, and I feel like these books are really nostalgia-dragging me. And they're like, hey, remember when, it was the 90s? Didn't you like... I'm going to let you guys in on a secondary secret. Most of the comics from the 90s are trash. They are garbage. And I don't mean the writing is bad and the art is bad. Sometimes the writing was bad, sometimes the art was bad. I mean, they were literally printed on newsprint in terrible shape. The books are not holding up well. I have books from the 90s in my collection that I constantly have to re-sleeve because they're getting stuck to the fucking cardboard. I don't want to go back to the 90s. I don't want to see all new, all extreme Fantastic Four with the Hulk, Ghost, Wolverine, and Spider-Man. Maybe I'm in the minority. But I feel like they're trying to drag 40-year-olds more into comics again. Like, hey guys, come on!
Like, we've always been here. We never
left. Like, you guys should really be highlighting, like, Kamala Khan and the next generation of kids. Like, go after the young reader. Don't worry about me. Maybe the young readers are interested in that. I don't know.
They are. But they're also probably trying to, do that crossover where, either they do or don't need the parents to come back, but they got your kid.
I suppose.
Like, hey, because even if, let's say, the parent doesn't read it necessarily, maybe at least their kid does. Their kid reads it, and they're like, hey, yeah, I got a new one. Oh, it's really cool. And they tell them about it, and then the parent's like, well, let me tell you about my version.
Yeah.
And then, like, now I want to watch, read yours. So then they end up,
I can see that.
Talking about it. And
I don't know.
It kind of becomes like something that you can share with your kids.
Maybe.
Like, I tell you about how it was way back there. In the before times.
In the before fours.
The before four. But I can't really get too mad about it. Now, if I was a super collector, though, and was like, are you telling me I have to get it? Then whatever. But this one doesn't hit me directly.
No.
So I think it's more of a feel for you.
It is. I'm in my feelings here.
Like, do you want to add to that collection? Were you a big...
No.
Then it shouldn't matter.
You're right. It just makes me go... It makes me cringe. It makes me concerned. Because I want books that aren't pointed at 40-year-olds. I want books that are pointed at 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds. Because those are the kids that are going to keep the hobby alive.
Yeah. So you're concerned more of, like, how the story is being written. Is it being written for older...
Yeah. I want...
how the words are being told. Not necessarily just that the fact that they're releasing it, but in, like, detail. Like, is it written at a level for young readers, or is it written at a level for...
I don't know if written. I don't know if that's the exact, but I want it to be directed towards young readers. I don't want all new Extreme X-Men or Fantastic Four in this case specifically to try and drag people like me back into comics because, like you said, we never left. That said, this really got off pace. I do like Ben Reilly's Spider-Man a whole lot. I do recommend it, and I did want to show the last page just because, again, this Ben Reilly has the best costume of any Spider-Man. Check that. So fucking cool. All right. Now, the next 3 books have been my pick of the weeks in the past. They all could have been my pick of the weeks this week as well.
I already know.
You know the pick of the week because you have to.
Yeah.
We will start... we'll start with Little Monsters from Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. Issue 1, Issue 2, this is now Issue 3. We are now learning more about the world in which the vampire children live in, what happened to them. There was a second pandemic, then the world ended. If the world hasn't ended, that's why there aren't any people around. We learn more about the kids find a person, an actual living man, and they eat him, which is a big deal because that's the first iteration of color, for all intents and purposes, that we've seen in the book, and it's the blood around their mouths. But then that's all we get from the issue. These issues move so quickly and are so good, but it feels like you're just not giving me it. Give me more. Give me more. I want more.
Because there's not a lot of speaking.
Right.
It's just like Maria.
It is just like Maria. Love it.
It's the same kind of thing where it's such a great story, and because there's not a lot of words told, you kind of feel like I can take so much more. It's like what stopped you in wanting to read more is how much you had to read. So you're like, I got plenty of space to fill up here.
Yeah.
I can keep going.
This is the anti-Animal Castle.
So you could basically, it's not a negative in any way.
No!
But you're saying that you could probably, if you didn't find out about this until it was
a trade
in paperback.
Yeah.
You'd probably be even more, even happier because you would just read the whole thing and then just be extremely happy.
Yeah, I want to binge this entire series.
Yeah.
I need to contact Jeff, and I need to say to Jeff, you send me the script.
But you can't stop now. You've already got issue 3.
I want the script.
You have to.
Give me all of it.
You have to finish the collection.
I will do both.
And then you can get
I will do both. I will do all 3. This is so good. It's so... And the art, by the way... It's freaking Dustin Nguyen. Of course the art is beautiful. Of course the art is alluring. And the color usage. Just because it's in black and white doesn't mean you don't get amazing shading. And
you can see all of that, how they do that with the shadows.
The kids all look unique. Everything is different. There's no... the background is there. There's no loss of background. I love Jay Lee. I think Jay Lee's art is incredible. But Jay Lee doesn't do backgrounds, at all. And Dustin Nguyen, in this series, he doesn't have to do backgrounds because it's all set at night, right? Mm. But he uses his shadow. He uses 4 colors, and they're just incredibly well shaded in. I'm trying to find a good representation without giving too much away. It's just so good. All right, why are you not reading Little Monsters? Go do it. All right.
Next up.
We here at the Read Pile have 3 pillars of the Read Pile as far as writers are concerned. Technically, we have a 4th pillar, but she doesn't make a lot of books. But when her newest one comes out, I assure you it'll be on here. Those 3 pillars are Cullen Bunn, Tom King, and Tom Taylor. And apparently a cat here. On my Read Pile this week, I have Tom Taylor's Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 11. Issue 11! Oh my goodness.
Man, you just flew through it.
I know!
That's what he does.
Damn! Damn, Tom Taylor! So this, of course, continues an excellent storyline that we're seeing with this villain, Max Bendix, who is essentially a dictator of a small country where they are experimenting on the people of the country and turning them into metahumans. John Kent, Superman, finds out about this. He rescues one of them. Turns out that he and this guy, Jay Nakamura, they become friends. And then ultimately start a relationship together. That's where we find out that John Kent is bisexual. And we're moving on into the story as it continues. Now, the last issue, Batman whisked John and Lois away and said Jay couldn't join them because Batman told Superman point blank, you cannot trust Jay. And Superman loves Batman like an uncle. and believes that Batman is typically right about these things, but he also is sort of in love with this guy and doesn't want to believe that he's a bad guy. So Batman is Batman, and he basically tells him, get fucked, your boyfriend's an asshole. And John says, no, that's not the case, and literally zooms off. And what is very, because John's still a teenager. And have you not run away from your parents and slammed the door behind them because you knew better than they did?
I mean, I think everybody's...
I mean, is that not a scene from Rick and Morty? Maybe I just want to care if you see me running away screaming, Yeah. And that's what Superman does here, is he zooms off. And he's going to go try and investigate Jay and find out if Jay's really a bad guy. Now, why this is almost my pick of the week, but not quite my pick of the week, is because of the conversation that Pa Kent has with Batman. Where Pa Kent asks Batman a lot of questions. I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to give away too much stuff. But basically, Pa Kent sort of looks at Batman, and I'm paraphrasing here, and says, so you think you know everybody. You think you're so smart, and you know all about matters of love. And then Batman's like, I'm fucking Batman. What the fuck you expect? Yeah, I'm Batman, bitch. Tell your wife I said hi. And Pa sort of looks at him and goes, so correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you almost marry a known burglar, a cat burglar, a villainous woman named Catwoman? And Batman's like, and? And then John sort of looks at him and says,
well, wait, there's more.
Remind me again of Damian's mom. Was she not a member of the League of Assassins? And Batman's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm leaving. All right, you're a dick and I'm leaving. That's one page of a very, very, very good issue that then comes back to it comes back to the humanity of Superman. Tom Taylor and other members of our pile here, but Tom Taylor specifically, he takes these incredibly mega powered beings, or in Batman's case, I don't know, what is Batman's superpower? Whatever. He takes these characters and he brings them all the way back to sitting right next to us here on this couch. Like, I look at these characters, I look at Pa Kent in this series, and that's someone I could talk to. I could see Batman. Batman talks the way a person talks in this issue. And of course, Jonathan is a teenager who's got a lot on his mind, and he's also trying to save the world. There's also a very, difficult moment where John tries to save his pet cat when he's a little boy because it got picked up by a hawk and carried away, and it doesn't work out. And from that moment on, because he wasn't able to save the cat, he vows that someday he will save everyone. And if you grew up around animals and you grew up around our friends or someone pass away on you and there was nothing you could do to stop them, you probably made a similar vow in your head. It's just really good. It would be my pick of the week. It would. But we here at the Read Pile have 3 pillars of the Read Pile. We technically have a 4th, but she doesn't make comics right now. When she does, she'll be added. And those pillars are Cullen Bunn, Tom King, and Tom Taylor. This week on the Read Pile, and my pick of the week, is Batman Killing Time, issue 3 of 6. By Tom King. I wish we had a little ding noise. We gotta get a little bell. Ding. Ding! So, could you make a note that I need to order another copy of this? Sadly, when I was reading the book, the staples in the middle of the page undid themselves, and now my book is ruined. And normally I wouldn't really care about that, but this is the first appearance of a major new character, so I would like to have a copy of the book that isn't ruined. We get to meet the character on the cover here is The Help, and the way I explained it to Ella Strange is The Help is, best as I can figure it, a Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard style character who just also happens to be the single most badass fighter of all time. Mm-hmm. So Penguin calls in The Help, and apparently The Help is only known as The Help. And whenever you call The Help is here to clean up any messes and kill literally everyone. What's amazing about Tom King's art, Tom King's writing specifically, which I guess would be his art, what do we always say about Tom King? Is that one day those weird creatures from the 4th dimension is going to come beat him up, right? Mm-hmm. Because he keeps fucking with time.
Yeah.
You can't fuck with time, Tom King. You got to stop fucking with time. Or those meatball guys are going to come beat you up. It happened to Rick and Morty twice. So we get the story now, as Tom King books tend to. They always start in like 4 or 5 different timelines, and as you get closer to the end of the book, the timelines all intersect, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in this issue, we start like 37 minutes into the future, then we bounce back to about an hour, and then we bounce back to like 3 hours where we find out who the Help is, and then we get this incredible fight between Batman and the Help, where the Help recognizes all of Batman's techniques and abilities, and he actually comments on him, and he's like, man, that's a really good Ra's al Ghul. You don't normally see a Ra's al Ghul. Good for you, young man. And then he brings him outside the head with his pipe, or with his cane. Mm-hmm. And he leaves a card for Batman. He goes, if you ever want to get some more training, you let me know, while Batman's laying on the ground unconscious.
Huh.
What is this? What are you doing? Clock? Oh, Clock King. So Tom Clock King.
Yes, he is.
He is the Clock King.
He is.
There you go. There you go, Tom King. There's your next story. You need to do a Clock King story. God knows you could do it.
It's just him.
Wouldn't that be great if we find out the Clock King is actually, like, he's been writing all these stories the whole time? But there you go. There's your next vol. After you finish Human Target, go get Clock King, another nobody supervillain, and turn them into an amazing character.
I actually was able to make a pretty good drawing.
You were. It's true. You could be the artist. Contact Tom, if you would contact Elle. She has some Clock King artwork.
I will surely.
And this reminds me that Kite Man getting his own spin-off show on HBO Max. Thank you, Tom King. The reason why Killing Time is so good is because we are now getting to the meat and potatoes of what's happening here. We are seeing what everyone is after. I thought, as I'm sure many people thought, that Riddler and Catwoman stole Batman's secret identity and that they were going to sell it to the highest bidder. No. We actually find out what it is they stole. We found out where it came from, how Batman got it, why it's so precious to him, why it matters to him. All of this amazing stuff. We get the first appearance of the Help. We get this amazing fight sequence. We get an incredible revelation. And then we get what Tom King does best. He gets us to get all in on what is absolutely happening. But I know you, Tom King. I know you better than this. In the first issue of Killing Time, there's this weird caveat, I guess? Interlude, that takes place with some Roman emperor being like shanked by his wife, his mom and his wife and a whole bunch of other women, and they stabbed him, and he died. And that's not really referenced again. They mention it a little bit in issue 2, just a little bit. And then in issue 3, it's completely forgotten, but not by me, because I know you, Tom King. And I know...
Everything had a reason. Everything
has a reason. You don't just put shit in your books. You fuck with time, you're the Clock King, then I know what you're doing. So I know that MacGuffin in that box is not what you want us to think it is. Unless it is. Maybe the... Okay, hang on, give me a second. Because it does take place in that original guy getting shanked. That is the same timeline, right? So, Okay, maybe I don't know. Regardless, this is why this is my book of the week. Oh my god. It is so cool. It is so good. You have 3 major events happening. You've got the appearance of the Help and how the Help beats the piss out of Batman. You get to see more of Batman's history with Ra's al Ghul and learning all of the tricks of the trade. The Help is one of the coolest new villains I've ever met, period. You get to see what the big thing is. And then you find out that the Help is not a dummy either. He immediately goes to see Penguin in the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. And what do you think he does when he's at the Penguin? How do you think he found Riddler and Catwoman and Batman to begin with? He saw the same beating marks on Penguin that Batman did, and he was able to discern the same shit that Batman did, and that's why he was able to beat Batman to the punch. So not only is he a better fighter than Batman, he is just as smart and just as good as a detective.
Nice. It's pretty freaking... It's insane.
It's... Tom King! All right, let's get it done. So our picks of the week this week are Batman Killing Time, issue 3 of 6, and Nubia, the Coronation Special, one shot. We also, of course, would recommend picking up Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 11, Little Monsters, issue 3, Twig, issue... God, everything on the read pile this week was really good. Quests Aside, another great book that we both enjoyed.
If you're an uber nerd, you love every little thing that's in there.
if anyone wants to donate to us so we can buy more comics, we're not hurting, but I could use some help. It's an addiction. Anyway, that wraps up this week's episode of the Read Pile. Before we go, we always want to say thank you to all of our friends. Of course, the Space Bastards, Bad Cave Comics, Glurk and Bo, BG Comics, AJ Schumacher, Eric Palicki, the IndieCast, our sister show, which is about ready to start doing shows again, so we're really looking forward to having the IndieCast back up on the WNRN. Make sure you check us out at the WNRN. Stay tuned for our audio-only version of the show, which does come with ads from Anchor, but allows us to make money and continue to buy comics. So if you want to help us out, all you got to do is click the link that I'm going to add to the video here, and just hit play one time. It'll help our ad revenue. It'll help us generate more income. I think we're almost to $50. Until next time, I am the Sussman, Rick Sussman, of course, for the original Angry Nerd Girl and the best cat mom ever, Elle Lestrange.
Signing off.
As a reminder, most people try and avoid the strange and unusual, but Elle is strange and unusual. We will be back next week with more comics, more notice, probably more leaking of my nose as my allergies get worse and worse. And until then, we want to say, well, say goodbye, Elle.
Bye, Elle.